Under the golden hush of a sinking sun, the prairie stretched endlessly, breathing the dry sighs of late summer. Dust curled around the feet of a young woman moving carefully along the dirt road, her crutches sinking slightly with every step. Her name was Betsy, 24 years old, carrying a lifetime of ache behind her steady blue eyes. The world had marked her broken after the fire that took her leg when she was a child, but no one ever saw how fiercely her heart kept burning. She had learned to live in the quiet margins, stitching clothes for strangers, sweeping floors for kind women who pitied her. Yet today, as the sky burned orange above her, she was walking toward something she didn't yet understand, toward Havers Creek, and the story the wind had been waiting to tell. Music shifts, low guitar strings, fading into a quiet hum of town life. The town was not kind to strangers. It sat low in a valley of long shadows, filled with men who measured worth in muscle, and women who hid sadness behind aprons and gossip. Betsy arrived at dusk, her hair tangled with wind, her dress the color of dust. Eyes followed her, sharp and whispering. She moved past them with her head high, not in defiance, but survival. At the saloon porch, two men leaned against a post, spitting tobacco and laughter. One, a broad ranch hand named Cole, smirked. "Ain't she the one from the burned farm?" he muttered. "The one with the iron sticks?" Laughter rolled through the air like thunder. Betsy paused but didn't turn. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and the sour bite of ale. She had come to ask for work, cleaning, mending, anything. Before she could speak, a voice from the corner cut through the noise. "No one marries a crippled girl," someone said. "Not in this town. You can't hitch your wagon to someone who can't even walk beside you." Soft pause. Sound fades to silence. The room quieted. Betsy turned slowly toward the sound, her eyes shining, not with tears, but with steel. "I can birth babies," she said softly, "and I can love harder than most men can bear." The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut bone. Then came laughter, cruel and careless. She stood in their noise like a tree refusing to bow to wind. Slow fade to quiet strumming. Male voice enters, calm, thoughtful. In the farthest corner sat Brian, a rancher of 33 years, his face shadowed beneath a sand-brown hat. He had lost his wife 3 winters ago to fever, and since then he'd spoken little, smiled never. But now, watching Betsy at the bar, something inside him shifted. She wasn't what they said she was. She was fire under ash. He didn't speak, didn't move. But when she left, sunlight caught her hair, and he found himself breathing deeper than he had in years. Wind transitions. Morning birds. The next day, Betsy started work at the inn. Her crutches tapped softly on the floorboards, a rhythm the town would soon learn by heart. She worked without complaint, but sometimes she'd pause at the window, her eyes filled with dreams too tender to hold. That morning, Brian came by to deliver grain. His boots were caked with mud, his sleeves rolled, his eyes quiet. He saw her scrubbing near the hearth, hair falling loose. "You shouldn't be doing work that hard," he said gently. She looked up. "Work keeps me standing, sir," she replied. "Without it, I'd fall." Small pause. Low heartbeat of music. Her words stayed with him. That night, the wind howled across the fences, and he thought of her steady hands, her unbroken eyes. 2 days later, he returned. He asked if she'd help with the foals at his ranch, said he needed someone careful. Betsy hesitated. The ranch was far, and men had never asked without hidden mockery. But his tone held only patience. She agreed. Gentle acoustic chords, sound of horses. The ranch smelled of hay and sunlight. One horse, a chestnut mare, limped as she walked. Betsy moved closer, laid her hand on the mare's neck. "You and I," she whispered, "were made of the same stubborn bones." Brian watched, the way she touched the creature, gentle and brave. Days turned into weeks. Her laughter softened the ranch's silence. She sang while brushing the horses, and Brian stayed longer than he needed, fixing gates that didn't need fixing, mending saddles already whole. When their eyes met, the quiet between them felt alive, like the calm before summer rain. Thunder in distance. One afternoon, the clouds gathered low. Betsy slipped in the paddock. Her crutch sank in mud, and she fell. Before she could rise, Brian was there. She tried to pull away, but he didn't let go. Their eyes met, hers full of fire, his full of something breaking open. Neither spoke. The storm rolled above like drums. That night, the rain came hard. The horses cried in the dark. Betsy, half asleep, heard them, and without a thought, she went into the storm. The wind tore at her dress. Rain stung her face, but she kept moving, calling softly to the panicked herd. Brian burst from the house, shouting her name. Betsy, you'll hurt yourself. She turned toward him, eyes blazing. You think I'm fragile? You think I can't stand because the world broke me once? Lightning split the sky. Her figure stood in the glare, mud-streaked, trembling, unyielding. The horses calmed at her voice. She took one shaky step forward. I've been through hell, she cried, and I'm still here. Brian reached her, rain running down his face. He caught her arms. You're not fragile, he said, his voice raw. You're the strongest soul I've ever seen. You think I see your scars? I see your fire. Silence. Rain softens. The thunder drifted away. She looked up at him, her chest heaving. Why me? She whispered. Because you don't ask to be saved, he said. You fight. You love. You endure. Something inside her broke, not in pain, but release. She wept quietly, as years of shame fell away into the rain. Brian wrapped his coat around her shoulders, his warmth steady against the cold. They stood as the storm faded and the sky began to clear. Soft piano, rising strings. When she looked up, her tears glistened in lantern light. No one marries a crippled girl, she murmured. Brian brushed a strand from her cheek. Then the world's been wrong a long time. The clouds broke open, silver light spilling over the fields. The air between them trembled with something new, fragile, and beautiful. For the first time in years, Betsy felt the world shift beneath her, not with fear, but with hope. And as the wind carried the scent of rain and wildflowers through the open barn, she realized love is not for the perfect, but for those who've already learned how to rise after every fall. Music fades, prairie wind, gentle and endless. Narrator, softly the prairie whispered around them, endless and forgiving. The night had changed its song. Like, share, and subscribe.